I'm sorry for the light, guys. Welcome to Sailing Anarchy's report from Morning Light, the premiere on the East Coast, I think, right? I've got Robbie Haines with me. Robbie was, as he put it, the first person that Leslie and Roy called when they figured out that they wanted to go forward with this and see if it was feasible. Robbie, welcome to my little camera.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for letting me come and watch this great movie with you guys. I really enjoyed it, but I have some questions. I think it's an accomplishment. I think we don't have a lot of good film heritage in sailing, in a sport that's so important around the world to so many people. There are plenty of jokes about wind, but the truth is, if you're looking for sort of strong film images, wind is all there is. So this movie is still sinking in a bit, but it certainly blew me away as to the images. Talk a little bit about what new ground you had to break to bring those images to us.
Well, certainly Roy and Leslie and the directors and the producers had to do a lot of homework on the type of cameras that we used, and Roy and Leslie were adamant that they wanted this film to be in high definition. So we went through lots of camera tests, and we finally decided on certain cameras. And anytime you film around salt water, it's a real hassle because the spray gets everywhere, gets on the lens, gets in the camera. So it was a difficult film to make, to produce. But somehow, they really did a good job with putting this thing together, and the photography is phenomenal. Anytime you can use high definition, and it's all high def, it's a real good product.
Yeah, I will say that I leaned over to my wife, who's a photographer, as you might know, and said, I can't believe what these guys have come up with. I mean, we spend our lives running around trying to get video and pictures of sailboats, and it was pure art. It was beautiful.
Well, one thing that really, really helped was the decision of having a photography boat accompany the kids. I mean, it was a key part of this, and all the footage that you see from off the boat during the race is absolutely authentic. We had the Cheyenne 120-foot catamaran that Steve Fawcett had put together, and they put big engines in it, and it was there the whole time, and taking all these photos, especially in the middle of the race when the Morning Light hooked up with Samba Pati. It was all on film, and as you saw, it's just phenomenal footage.
It was the most dramatic sailing moment I've ever seen, except for maybe that Team New Zealand race last year.
Yeah.
So once the race started, you were done. You didn't go on the photo boat or anything. You went to Hawaii to meet the kids when they got in. Yeah.
Actually, I was on Paiwacket.
You were.
Yeah, we took.
Oh, that's right.
Roy's 94-footer on the Transpac. So I was kind of wearing two hats prior to the Transpac.
And you won the barn door that year?
No, we didn't. Well, we were first to finish. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how we corrected out. I can't remember. But
yeah.
My mind was on the kids the
yeah.
whole time because had been with them, lived with them for 6 months, got to know them, and loved them all dearly.
Let me ask you this. I think the movie focuses quite a bit on. You can see characters develop as the movie goes along, especially sort of you see Jenny Tulloch real prominent and sort of dominant at the beginning, and she has a bit of a misfortune, and I think sort of, at least from the story that the movie told, her as Jeremy Wilmot's sort of captain and leading ability came out, he sort of emerged as the strong personality on board. What would you say about Jeremy's personality and Jenny's personality in terms of leading a team and racing?
I think both Jenny and Jeremy had excellent people skills. They both had the experience over most of the rest of the team, and certainly in my mind, Jenny or Jeremy were probably going to be the skippers of the boat. But we really had nothing to do with it. I mean, Stan Honey, all the coaches, myself, they made the decision themselves who the skipper of that boat was going to be. And her breaking her arm, 2 months into the thing, certainly didn't help her, her ability to become the skipper.
Right.
But the crew, they got together one night, as the film shows, and they picked Jeremy. And Jenny was supportive of it. I think Jenny respected Jeremy. And I think Jeremy was the right choice in the end to be the skipper of that boat.
Yeah, he's certainly got a lot of fans and friends and family from Australia that we're watching, at least on our site, checking it out, and always telling everybody about what's going on today. And but now he's living in the States, yeah?
He is. He's going to St. Mary's, and he's full-time into college. I think he's doing some sailing on a Melgus 32, but, you know, he's enjoying this whole thing. And as this film gets going, I think he's going to emerge as certainly one of the stars of the movie.
Something that has been sorely lacking in our country, at least, is star power in sailing. And I guess he's as good as any. He's smart. He's good looking. He's well spoken. He's a hell of a sailor.
Right.
And he's got that accent, so the girls will love him here.
Yeah.
And he's what, 21 now?
I think he's 22 now.
22.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about sort of the personalities on board. Something that didn't come through a lot, and as someone who sailed quite a bit offshore myself, there's always some drama, and we didn't see, and maybe it was edited, and maybe it was just that the team was just very well picked and very gelled, but we didn't see hardly any personal drama, interpersonal drama, you know, and I find it hard to believe that a team can run that smoothly. So what happened to that footage, or what drama do you know about? Did they keep it to themselves?
You know, we say to ourselves all the time, how lucky could we have been to pick 15 kids that get along so well.
Right.
And, you know, they're all best friends now. We didn't detect through the whole thing any problems amongst these kids. There were a few little problems, but most of it was actually on land. And but it was insignificant. You know, these kids were just tremendous on this boat, and they cared for each other. They just got along so well, and they still do to this day. They still stay in touch. We had the premiere last night in Hollywood, and I was in the room when they all saw each other for the first time, and it was just like one big happy family. You know, they all adore each other.
Does the network sort of still talk to each other, and you guys still send around emails and maybe go sail together sometimes and tell jokes, and it's still pretty tight?
We all stay together. We all communicate, or they communicate with themselves more than I do probably, but they're going to be friends forever. You know, Jeremy in the movie keeps saying these are 15 of his very, very best friends, and he'll have these 15 friends forever.
What sort of impressions have you heard? For you now seen it a bunch of times. What sort of impressions have you heard from non-sailors? We heard some from the mayor tonight that she had chills and she's not a sailor. That's the kind of stuff we want to hear. But what about other people? What have you heard?
Well, I've heard primarily very positive things, and we all know, Roy knows that most sailors in this country are going to go see this movie just because it's rare to have a sailing movie. But the way this is going to have its commercial success is to have the non-sailor go see it and like it. And that's what we're hoping for. So on October 17th, you know, if we can get as many people to go see this movie as possible, then we'll go to the next level, which is in more theaters.
How many openings will it have on the 17th that weekend?
55 theaters in the United States, but there's some areas of the country, big sailing areas, like Chicago, the Midwest area, parts of Florida, Texas.
Right.
You know, logical areas that this movie should open in, and that's going to be the next tier. And we just have to keep our fingers crossed and just get everybody in that theater on October 17th.
How much will the movie need to make in order to be a commercial success?
I don't know the answer to that.
You don't?
No.
Let's see. I guess that's sort of, it's a question in my mind is what's it going to take? Because I loved it. I thought it was great. You guys have accumulated some major experience now. Obviously, I'm sure just learning how to shoot this stuff was a total education, I'm sure. You had to invent everything. It didn't exist, right? So now you have the experience. Now everything will be significantly easier to shoot and probably arrange. You guys now have the experience and a formula that's interesting. What's it going to take for another one? You know, how much is it going to take? How many people do we have to get to see this thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, Roy and Leslie are asked that question all the time.
Yeah.
And yes, we've learned a lot. If we did a Morning Light 2, you know, we would do it very similar to the way we did it, but we'd know a lot more about the photography and just the whole thing. I mean, looking back over it, you know, the shooting location in Hawaii, we wouldn't change, I'm sure. It's just so beautiful over there and so consistent. I don't think we'd change much, really. I just, you know, we're real pleased with how the movie came out, and we think everybody's going to really like it. And as you say, you know, there are so few sailing movies that it's just going to be good for the sport.
All right. Well, look, man, I appreciate the time. Thank you. You did a hell of a job.
Nice meeting you, Mr. Clean.
You got it, brother, and we will certainly chat with you again. All right.